This is Module 8. This is going to be a relatively short lecture. But what I wanted to do was give you some pointers on how to build your farm plan. At the end of this module, you are going to submit to me basically a sketch of what your farm plan might look like. I'm not looking for something that is highly polished, that's ready to take to a bank to look for lending. What I'm looking for is for you to start putting your goals and ideas down on paper and submit those. And the reason why I want you to do that is because it makes it more real. So Robert Herjavec, he's the Canadian businessman that's on Shark Tank. And I like him. I think he's really straightforward and says what he thinks. But one of the things one of the quotes that has been attributed to him is, a goal without a timeline is just a dream. Now, it's okay to dream. I'm a big proponent in people in agriculture having a huge dream. But having a goal means that you're doing something that's measurable. And that's what we want to talk about in this model. So, goal setting. One of the things that I want all of y'all to start thinking about is how to set realistic goals and think about things in agriculture that are attainable. Some examples would include lease or purchase land up to X number of acres, convert a lawn or a garden, like a flower bed, into an edible area. Frequently, that's going to be backyards when you're living with an HOA. I noticed in our last discussion, several of y'all that live in HOAs are having some hurdles. Something to think about. The other thing is, what tools do you have on hand? What do you need to purchase? What equipment are you going to need? And then, obviously, learn new skills through work, classes, internships, and then identify food crops that you can grow and those that are in demand. There are some food crops that can be grown in a very small footprint that have a high return on the investment. And those are some of the things that I want you guys to explore. So some of the goals, it's always easy to say, hey, set your goals and reach for them. Well, I'm a big proponent in setting those goals, but also talking about how you're going to get there. You can tell me what the what is, but the how sometimes can be a little tricky. And so one of the things that we really want to look at is SMART goals. You hear about these in leadership classes and different forums, but SMART goals tend to be very specific. They are measurable or meaningful. They're action-oriented, relevant, and trackable, meaning you've got a timeline. And then we have something called process goals. This is where the performance is controlled by the individual. We have performance goals where you have a personal standard of achievement, and then we have outcome goals based on success or winning. And in agriculture, anytime you have a successful crop, we consider that a big win. So some planning strategies. One of the things that you need to take into account is family. Does the rest of your family buy in to your ideas? If not, how can you start convincing them or recruiting family members to buy in? Are you part of a community organization where you might have a ready supply of volunteers? Do you have a CPA that can help you? Do you know someone who's an accountant that can help you? Do you have a youth group? Do you have scouts? Can they help you with the physical preparation of the farm? And then do you have access to hired help? I will tell you that a lot of what I do with teenagers at my farm. I hire them from previous classes. They're younger siblings. They're my friends' kids. And typically, they learn how to work. Sometimes I'll get some young people here at the farm that will, more often than not, go hide behind the barn and play on their phone and not actually get their job done. And what I can tell you is that one time that they're here is the only time that they're here. Other times I've had phenomenal students that have come out and they work for me until they get a better job or they go off to college. And that's always kind of a melancholy time is when I've taken a young person and worked with them, and I don't even have to supervise them anymore. I can delegate, or I can actually give them a younger teenager to supervise, and they start to learn leadership skills. Outside help is critical. If you can find other farmers that are willing to mentor, I typically try to mentor several every year. If someone asks me for help, I will offer help. Sometimes they heed it, sometimes they don't. Another really good resource is your county extension agent. In Collin County, you have several extension agents. In particular, Chase Brook, who's on our advisory committee, is part of the natural resources team, but he is incredibly knowledgeable with sustainable agriculture. And he does the Landowner 101 course that you can actually take through Texas AgriLife. Contract tractor work. If you're not in a position to purchase equipment, heavy equipment, especially a tractor, rent one or hire it out. If you only need a tractor a couple of times a year, it's a huge cost savings if you don't have to go buy one. If you are a smaller piece of property, invest in a really good walk-behind tiller. You can typically find used ones and refurbish one for a lot less than, the $1,000 to buy a really nice high-end tiller. Look at 4-H or FFA kids that need some experience with a supervised ag experience. There's most students that are involved in FFA at the high school level have to have an SAE one of their years, and sometimes multiple years. If you can recruit an FFA student and take them under your wing, they can get their credits, but they can also earn an income, which is also part of the SAE. And they may not have a place to actually raise small livestock, but you may want to. And so you can do a collaborative effort with that student. I've done that with some of my former students, and with current students that are in FFA that don't have a place to raise livestock. Sometimes I'll mentor one here at the farm. And then neighbors that are retired or homeschoolers. A lot of times it's a great way for homeschool families to come together and have a community garden. Just some things to think about, some ideas. And then finances. I know really no one wants to talk about the finances of getting started in agriculture, but one of the most important things is, do you have adequate savings that if you needed to take some time off from your regular job, or want to take some time off of your regular job, could you take Fridays off and give yourself a 3-day weekend and start working on some farm activities? One of my biggest regrets as a classroom teacher was when I left education from the secondary level, I had close to 100 personal days that I had not taken. If you have those personal days, or you have vacation days and you want to use those to start a farm, I encourage you to do that and not feel guilty. Don't wait until you're in your 50s like I did. I now take my vacation and personal days, and typically I don't actually go on vacation. I work at the farm. I use that time to actually get caught up here. But it's nice to be in a position where I can do that. Not everybody is, but if you can work out a flexible schedule where that gives you a little bit more time to work at the farm or work in your farm building, then that would be something that investigate creative strategies that way. Do you have assets you can leverage as collateral? Are you looking at possibly wanting to take out a loan and go bigger than just a residential lot? Please don't take that lightly. Any loans that you take out have to be done with a lot of forethought. Make sure that you have good advisors working with you. There are several farm credit agencies that will loan you the money. If you already have a piece of property, frequently you can do a farm loan to add outbuildings or possibly a greenhouse or buy equipment. The USDA FSA program, every county has access to basically a financial advisor through the USDA. That would be a great place to reach out and say, hey, I need some guidance on this. Have you possibly put away money to purchase land? If that is really your near-term goal, how are you going to make that happen? It is doable. Right now, the real estate market is pretty hot, so it may not be as realistic now as when there's a downturn in real estate, but it can be done. Just something to think about in that aspect. Working capital and collateral. Do you have the income right now, or does your family have the income right now that you could take the risk and basically purchase and run a startup farm? Does your income qualify you for a loan? And if the answer is no to both of those, that's where reaching out to community resources or volunteering with various CSAs in the county might give you an opportunity to get your foot in the door and actually learn while you're working for a CSA. Do you already own land, and do you need a loan for equipment? Those are all the things that you're going to want to sit down and look at while you're doing your farm planning and your goals. So be careful not to overextend yourself. Obviously, you want to be careful with finances because some aspects of farming can be very risky, depending on are we going to have a drought year, or are we going to have excessive rain? Those are things to be aware of. Please don't overextend yourself financially so that if you do end up not making a profit in the first 5 to 7 years, are you going to lose everything? That's obviously not what we want to have happen in agriculture. And we don't want to repeat the financial mistakes of many of our predecessors, in my case, ancestors. If you're buying land, purchase carefully. I will tell you that soil type is my #1 driving factor for purchasing land. Water issues, is that land in a floodplain? And much of what's in a floodplain can be farmed, but do you have the ability to bounce back when you have extreme flooding? And are there deed restrictions on the property? Is it within the city limits, or in an area where you're going to have to get permits just to put up a fence? Those are things to be careful of. If you buy and you have the chance to buy more than you think you'll ever need, please do it. If you can afford it, buy it. What's the worst that can happen? You can always subdivide it and sell off parts of it and only use what you need. Or you can actually lease it and have that lease income that would help you qualify for ag credit loans. If you're going to lease a property, one thing I will tell you is make sure that you have an airtight contract. Please make sure that the contract addresses owner and tenant access. It restricts recreational use of the property and includes terms to address potential sale of the property at a later date. If you sign a 5-year lease and a year later the property owner decides to sell, are you protected? That's where it's really a good idea to have a lawyer look over the contract and make sure that you and the property owner are both being protected. And then plan for weather events. Investigate crop insurance. If you're one of those, go big the first few years. Please invest in crop insurance just in case we have a catastrophic drought or rainfall year. And by recording that pricing, I want you guys to consider what are the high dollar items, and then do a little bit of research and find out what it costs to grow those items. Look at everything from honey to animal protein to plants to mushrooms. Really, truly look at everything that's available at a farmer's market and see what you can work with. And then the other thing is, what are you passionate about? What are those things that you absolutely love that you would be willing to produce that also would feed your family? So anyway, I'm not looking for anything fancy with the plan. I would like for you guys to work on refining that throughout your course of study with Colin. But I do really want you guys to start putting pen to paper and trying to figure out how you're going to make that happen. I very much want for my students to succeed, and I know that one of the key factors is planning and goal setting. So, as always, email me if you've got any questions or thoughts or ideas, and make sure that you are doing the course evaluation. That is incredibly important to me. I want to know how you're handling the classes. I want to know what we can do better. Obviously, this is our very first semester, so we know that there's room for improvement. But I also want to know the good things we're doing. And the course evaluation allows us to get that feedback. If we're doing something right, I want to know. If there's something that we're missing, I also want to know. As a faculty member this semester, it's incredibly important to me to know what you guys think. So that's why I'm giving 25 extra credit points for the course evaluation. Please take advantage of it and boost your score. You guys take care, and I will talk to you soon.